All right, it's 3 p.m. and good afternoon, everyone. We are delighted to have you join us as we kick off another insightful session on connecting the dots. First and foremost, we extend our gratitude to our esteemed speakers for their participation in this panel discussion. Prakash Ramaya, Head of Internal Audit at Varthana, Gauri Das, Head HR at India Factoring and Finance Solution Private Limited, Danish Sheikh, Head HR, Center of Excellence at ACG Capsules. Dr. Kavindra Pant, Vice President HR at Shapurji Palonji Energy Private Limited. Shikha Verma, Founder, Happiness and Mindful Coach at Vibrant Vibes Consulting. A warm welcome to all. HRAI welcomes you all to the session on this insightful topic, the purpose driven paycheck. Why meaning matters more than money. To know more about HRA and its events, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. I'm pleased to introduce our moderator for today's session, Shikha Verma, who will be guiding us through the discussion with her insights and expertise. Shikha Verma is a learning and development specialist with 23 years of corporate experience with organizations like Hero, Wipro, Honda, Yamaha, and Panasonic. She is passionate about developing women and fostering future ready and happier leaders. Her company, Vibrant Vibes Consulting, organizes online and offline events, leadership trainings, and acts as advisory to create well being strategy. She has impacted thousands of lives as a global happiness and mindfulness coach. She is a multiple award winner, a motivational speaker, author of thousands of articles and posts on human capital, who was recently on BBC World News as well, also known as Passionpreneur. To know more about Shika, you can follow her on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. We are excited to have her moderate this discussion today. Over to you, Shika.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Faisal. And thank you to HRAI for having me and the entire panel of experts here with me. This topic is really very, very interesting and close to my heart. As you see, this is the space I've been working in. What I do see that last year, 2024, Gallup also had a research on the state of global workplace. I don't know if you're aware, but there's a staggering 86% of Indian employees who've been feeling either suffering or struggling. This is significantly a very, very high number as compared to the global average also. And I'm only talking Indian employees feeling this way. Even more reason for us as experts, as leaders, to come forward and talk about, going beyond the paycheck or ensuring that there is purpose-driven paycheck and more meaning to the workplaces in years to come, right? So it makes the entire topic of our discussion crucial, critical, and of paramount importance. So thank you for picking this one. It's an absolute delight to welcome all my panelists here. So I will take 2 minutes to give you a brief introduction about each one of them, as all of them come with such illustrious backgrounds. So all of you get to know them. I'll begin with Mr. Prakash Ramaya. He is serving as the head internal audit at Varthana. He's an IIM Calcutta alumni with over 30 years of experience in finance and internal audit alone across banking and microfinance sectors. He brings a wealth of expertise in strategic auditing, risk management, and regulatory compliances. He holds a proven track record of identifying and mitigating financial risks while optimizing operational efficiency. I've done a little bit of audit work, so I completely enjoy this space a little, of late, and I do realize that this has also evolved in the last 5 to 7 years drastically, which is what I was talking to him about yesterday. Thank you for joining us, Prakash, and a very, very warm welcome to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next up is Danish Sheikh, who is an award-winning HR and organizational development expert. He comes with deep expertise in talent management. Can we mute the audience, please? Thank you. He comes with deep expertise in talent management, diversity inclusion, strategic HR. As the head of HR Center of Excellence at ACG Capsules, Danish has spearheaded initiatives that drive cultural transformation, leadership development, inclusive workplaces. Again, something very close to my interest areas and experience also, Danish. It's great to know that you are building inclusive workplaces. You also are passionate about creating psychologically safe workplace and equitable environments. He's a certified coach, ICF, ACC, and a PhD scholar. And let me tell you, that's not an easy credential to gain. um, he's recognized as the Asia HR Director of the Year and a 40 under 40 HR leader as well. Danish brings both thought leadership and practical insights into our discussion today. It's a pleasure to have you, Danish. Very warm welcome to you. Next up, your speaker is Dr. Kavindra Pant, who's here. He's a global CHRO at Shapoorji Pallonji Energy, bringing over 25 years of HR leadership experience across India and international markets. He has led key initiatives in organizational design, change management, leadership development, and employer branding, with senior roles across sectors such as logistics, insurance, infrastructure, oil and gas, and energy. He has gained deep insights into industry-specific HR practices. Dr. Pant has also played a pivotal role in shaping HR systems in semi-startups and has been associated with reputed organizations like Mahanagar Gas, HDFC Ergo, and TNT India. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, Dr. Kavind Pant, and welcome into the session. Next up for you is Gauri Das. She's the head HR, India Factoring and Finance Solutions Private Limited. Gauri is a strategic HR leader with around 18 plus years of experience in crafting and aligning HR strategy with business goals. She supports business leaders, individuals in driving performance and improving capabilities, and focuses on elevating employee experience by enriching careers, ensuring effective communication, and thus creating an employer brand. She drives the right culture in alignment with organizational values. I have seen her work very, very closely, and I can vouch for the fact that she's one of the most astounding HR leaders I've come across in the recent past. She is a learner for life. She truly lives by the statement that she used to share of being a possibilitarian, and I can never ever forget my detailed chats with you on that. She's an expert on adaptability, resilience, and digital mindset and data mindset. She carries a wealth of experience with both startups and well-established organizations, and she loves high energy and growth focused environment. And we love you, Gauri. Thank you for coming in, and a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much. I love you too.
So, okay, that's a good point for us to start with a lot of love, isn't it? let's get talking about the purpose-driven paycheck. You know, what I do see in my 23 years of experience, and I'd love all of you to throw light, as we move from one person to the other. I see a lot of shift coming in. Okay, there was a time in the beginning of my career where we focused a lot on job securities, competitive pays, back, maybe 2 decades back. But today, the generation is not looking at that as the primary need. It's a given, it's a hygiene factor, it's still important. But what they're prioritizing on is this sense of purpose, the sense of belonging, and more so the impact that they're creating at the workplaces, isn't it? So it's not about earning as much as it is about contribution. And that is why, this purpose-driven paycheck phrase has become like a catchphrase for us, and we must discern it really well to understand what it takes to build a culture around that. And that brings me to you, Gauri. I'd like to understand, as a CHRO, how would you define this purpose-driven pay phrase, and what does it truly signify in the today's talent landscape? If you can delve into that.
Thanks, Shika, and a very important topic because, like you rightly said, everybody's talking about purpose today. And I remember when I started my journey, and I was discussing this with you yesterday, that doing leave and attendance management, I thought that there is no value of this because nobody was caring for me other than those 3-4 days end of the month when their salary or numbers were to be freezed. They will come to me, but after that, there was nothing. And nobody sat me down and told me that what you do actually adds a lot to the employee engagement, because if salary is not on time or it is incorrect, then no matter what you do for other engagement, it's going to be not of much impact. But today I understand, and this realization also came from somebody who came and reached out to me and asked what I do, how does it help the organization. So yes, this generation is definitely asking this, and now we know that there is more to paycheck. Like you said, there is purpose also. And how I would define this purpose is it's not only about what you are doing, but how you are doing and why you are doing. So I cited the example of why. When I understood that HR operations had so much value, my why was very clear that whatever I do through the month actually aids a lot to the happiness of employees. And it is also about how you are doing it. And especially in banking, where compliances also have become very, very important, it relates to that as well. Say, for example, somebody is lending money, and there have been cases of mis-selling. So many banks we have heard that people missold somebody very senior. They came for FD, but something else was done with their money. And likewise in corporates also, corporate lending space also. So it's not only about you are lending money or you are gaining some interest from it, processing fees from it, but it is also about how you are doing. Take a step in customer service also, selling and customer service. So you not only sell now, you are with them to create an overall roadmap for them, and that's where they are coming back. So I think everything is interrelated. It is also about how you are supporting the community. So all your CSR programs, your volunteering programs, and there are organizations who give, say, 2 to 3 days in a year just to do volunteering, because that purpose has become very, very important. Where do I find time to do this also? So if it is done within the time frame of the organization, it helps a lot. And even in CSR, people are involved because it's giving back to society. And you look at the engagement in CSR, it is very, very high. So that is also. So overall, it is about the soul of the organization, not only the bottom line or not only how much you are making money. Another example would be, say, lending is done, but it was not up to the mark, and few years down the line, the money vanishes or there is a non-performing asset. So the incentive also is long-term incentive, and there are clawback options also. So ultimately, purpose, ethics, doing things right is taking a lot of importance from employees, from organizations. Even boards are taking cognizance of this fact, and the regulator as well. So to summarize, I would say it's what you are doing is there, but how and why you are doing brings in the purpose to the work that we do.
Awesome, awesome. I love that. It's very simple and very profound. It's not about the what, it's about the why, more importantly. And, the fact that it goes down to the soul of the organization at the end of the day. Thank you for giving us that perspective, Gauri. I'm wondering, Danish, since you are in the space of L&D and culture building, how have you actually seen the sense of purpose getting shaped up? And what is your company currently doing? I'm intrigued to learn from that too. If you can throw some light.
Thanks, Shikha. So at ACG, now we are a market leader in the capsules manufacturing space, right? So for us, our purpose is about, contributing to health and well-being around the world. It's not just about manufacturing capsules, and we try and ensure that every associate in our organizations feels connected to that bigger picture. And we've taken, steps at multiple levels to make this a reality. For example, we have our values. Our values are caring, collaborative, and progressive. To us, these aren't just words. They guide how we design our systems, how we build our leaders, how we recognize the people in our teams. So whether it's through succession planning, where we focus on leaders who truly live these values, or we have initiatives like we've introduced a crew system, which helps associates on the shop floor feel a deeper connection with their teams and supervisors, etc. Uh, we are trying to make that sense of purpose part of their daily work. Another bit that we focus on is on DEI. It's one of our cornerstones, and purpose feels personal. And I believe that is when people can bring their whole authentic selves to work. Whether it is through allyship programs, whether it is through uh, you know initiatives that focus on psychological safety. We've tried to integrate all of that into how we shape our culture and how we make our decisions. Uh, Recently we had our first ever capsule level awards, and there we ensured that we don't just celebrate performance metrics, we recognize all those unsung heroes, people who contribute to inclusion, safety, well-being. And I remember one associate who just walked up to me and said, "This is for the first time I feel recognized, not for uh, what I produce or what I manufacture, but what I actually stand for." And to me, that is what a purpose-driven paycheck means. When people feel that their work, their values, their identity is valued alongside their contributions. So that's where we at ACG are committed to making uh, this sense of purpose a lived experience, where people feel that their paycheck is not just about their output, it's about the impact that they make on the community.
That's such a refreshing thing to hear, that the practices actually come alive. You can see your people striving day in and day out. And that's only possible because you've been able to create that kind of culture, right, within the organization. I love the fact when you mentioned that people really see that, they feel that they're being seen. I think when Gauri mentioned about seeing the big picture and the CSR aspect, we were trying to give this complete definition to purpose driven paycheck. What does it truly mean? It means that your employees are being seen, they are feeling valued, they are feeling worthy every single day of their work life. It's not about that one paycheck that comes to them at the end of the month. It's about every single day how alive they're feeling now, and that is how you can actually make an organization thrive if you're able to cultivate this kind of a culture. So I love the initiative around the unsung heroes being appreciated, the systems being such where the alignment of the leaders becomes important on walking the talk on the values, which is really rare. I've been in that space, Danish, so I know that it's not easy. We do a lot of efforts, we do sessions with them, we give them insights and report after report, on where the gaps are and what they need to do. But cultivating that kind of culture over the years is does the trick, and it's not some magic of formula that it can just suddenly happen.
Yeah,
It
it's
takes
not an
years
overnight
of
thing.
Absolutely. It takes years of work, a lot of multilateral initiatives, really, that need to get integrated into the organization's foundation. And that's when you really see these kind of results come through, or your jigsaw puzzle, fitting in the right place, really. So amazing to hear that. But I do know that, when we're trying to, there was a time when we were trying to create a lot of engagement specific initiatives, and they were working fine for us. I think Gallup also shared a lot of these reports where they showed progress happening, our engagement scores improving. Of late, even 2024, they showed a employee engagement, number that is 32%, which is higher than the average, global average, which was very encouraging to see, really. But on the contrary, there was another report that mentioned another metrics within the same report that mentioned our employees aren't even feeling that they're thriving. Now, that's quite a contradiction if you come to see. And there were just about 14% of our employees who felt that they were thriving, as opposed to the 32% employee engagement score, which is a big gap. And that brings me to the thought that, there may be times when we feel that our employee engagement is going well, but our employees aren't really thriving. Where is the real proof? It lies again in the sense of purpose that we're building, or the meaning that we're providing to our employees. So in this competitive world, I would want to ask this question from Dr. Kavindra. How does the sense of purpose act as a differentiator in attracting talent and, sustaining or bridging this kind of a gap on the ground in your experience? If you can throw some light on that.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, HRAI, for having me on board out here with a wonderful panel. So, it's an interesting thing when we talk about the sense of purpose helps in, or it is a differentiator in attracting and retaining talent. I'll say
Hmm.
more for the retaining talent. Attracting is basically when you create a culture or when you create a purpose which is known to the entire world, and then it helps in attracting. But yes, it certainly helps in retaining the talent because your purpose
Hmm.
is more internal, not external. So till the
Hmm.
time it has not been advertised or it has a vibe has not been created, it doesn't go out. So when I define purpose, it's basically it is more of a commitment rather than just a transaction, right? So it is basically it gives a clarity in identity and impact. So when I say this, it basically it resonates. The individual resonates with the clause, the purpose that clarifies what a company stands for. And I'd like to take an example, which is more from a political space, wherein if you would recall, probably 2013-14, when Aam Aadmi Party was coming to existence, or rather before Aam Aadmi Party, that movement which was being created, uh, India against corruption. So, lot many people, senior level executives from the entire world, have left over their secured jobs and have joined that particular movement, which is basically where you can look at where you can resonate with the purpose. They have resonated with the purpose rather than looking at a paycheck. So this is something which happens within the organization as well. In the similar lines, if you see, it creates a emotional connect and the sense of belongingness which comes out. So a strong purpose creates an emotional loyalty to the overall purpose of that organization. If you see, when the mission Moon failed, what happened? There was an emotional outburst, and because everyone was so connected with the purpose that our mission is to send the satellite or send our spacecraft to the moon. So that was where the last level person was even included in the in was connected to the purpose where the individual. That's how you are linked to to the mission or to the purpose of the organization. It was not that all those people, all those scientists would not have received an offer from ISRO or another space agencies. But yes, they believed in their purpose, and that has created a loyalty and the sense of belonging to the organization and it was all because of the purpose what they were driving it. So it is basically it creates motivated and loyal teams, and that's how some of these things what we have also incorporated in our organization for per se. Well, we are a niche. We work in the niche. Just to give you a background, we work in the niche industry, and
Hmm.
there are just globally 5 players across in this industry. We are into offshore oil and gas, and that too in the niche
Hmm.
part of it, which is into FPSO. We do the EPCIC
Okay.
of FPSO, build, own, and operate FPSOs, where the asset has to be sailed away or it has to be commissioned in a specific time frame
Right.
where we'll be losing, where whether we'll be earning or whether we'll be losing a big chunk of money
Hmm.
in terms of our day rate, and it is as high as $1 million per day. So when we work, and our industry works purely on a contractual basis, but still, when we look at when we go to the ground, when we talk to people, it is shared communication and creating a single mission for a particular project that we have to complete this in a timely manner. People associate with them, and when the sail away happens, although people know that in a month's time they will be demobilized from the specific project, but they take pride
Hmm.
in completing the project on time and making it a big success. Another level
So
of purpose.
if I
Sorry.
may, if I may, Dr. Kevin, what I was wondering was, since you mentioned the emotional connect aspect as one of the big highlights, it just made me think more deeper as to what all have we gone through, during our careers and our phases of 20 plus years that we've been in the industry. We've been chasing success, constantly. We've never looked at this emotional connect as one of the main drivers for us, at least throughout our careers. Most of us. won't connect with that. It was important for us to earn good. It was important for us to chase success, to be a somebody, and be in that constant play of competition. But this generation has actually kind of coerced the whole mindset of taking a stop and reflecting and undoing the whole gamut of, or let's say creating a new rule book for us. They want us to play by purpose, they want us to play by potential, they want us to play by passion, and that's like an absolute new bible getting created for workplaces, isn't it? It's exciting, when I see this shift, when I hear youngsters talk like that, really. And I'm always surprised to know that youngsters are not fascinated by brand names anymore. They would reject a ENY, they would reject a McKinsey over their own passions and their own interest areas today, without a qualm, without any regrets. And they're confident that they will turn this around for themselves. That has really made me think more deeply as to, when you are trying to create an emotional connect, it may be different for different people. You see a variety of mindsets in the market today. Okay, between Gen Z, the millennials, and the alpha, which is yet to come. We are signing up for too much disruption, is what I feel.
Shika,
And
I
we
was
do
coming
see a
to
lot of
that.
change. Yeah.
I was coming to that. Basically, we are generalizing the statement. Probably this purpose and the connect is more a Western kind of a word, in my
Uh-huh.
view. Because if you
Okay.
look at if you look at the overall working population within India, still, I'll say at least around 60% of the population is migrating from the rural areas or unprivileged workforce, which is there.
Mm-hmm.
They are still struggling for their basic needs like roti, kapra, and makan, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
if I'm talking about, let's take an example of myself. My parents have taken care of my roti, kapra, and makan during their work life. When it comes to me, my needs were entirely different. To have a nice car, nice apartment in a place like Mumbai, and then a social status or things like that were my basic needs change. But when I talked about my son, everything is served on a platter for him. His basic needs and the social
Right.
needs have been fulfilled. But if you
Correct.
compare him with an engineering graduate, because my son is pursuing his engineering, if you compare him with an engineering graduate from a rural area, from a B category college in a C category city, his needs will entirely be different. His motive
Correct.
will be driven by the paycheck. No matter
Absolutely.
what we say today or how we define life in a metro city where 60% will be where their basic needs will be fulfilled. But
Mm-hmm.
if I look at the other part of the workforce, which is more driven by paycheck, we are recruiting for oil and gas, especially in the O&M business. People work having a diploma or engineering degrees with 9 years of experience are working for 35,000 bucks in today's environment as well.
So I hear you. Thank you for sharing that very important perspective. It brings me to another, thought. And since Prakash is here with us and he's an internal auditor, I'd love to understand how you see this shift of, moving to a sense of purpose and beyond, or a purpose-driven paycheck really influencing employee behavior. How do you see that impacting productivity on the ground and even ethical decision making for that matter? Because that's a lot of work that you're doing already. So if you can give us a little more on that dimension, it'll be a great insight for us, Prakash.
Yeah, thanks, Shika Verma. See, with my overall 30 years of experience in banking and NBFC sector, I observed that we are not just dealing with numbers, we are dealing with the people's aspirations. I remember once during our discussion with our credit officers in the field, one of them told me that, sir, when I approve a school loan, I'm not just financing a building, I'm enabling hundreds of kids to access better education. So that stuck with me. When employees begin to see their role as part of a bigger purpose, like enabling financial inclusion or empowering first generation entrepreneurs, their behavior changes. we see more empathy in customer interactions, more integrity in documentation, and higher accountability in field operations. So it is no longer just about disbursing loans or meeting targets. It's about impact. That purpose driven mindset makes them not only more productive but also more ethical in decisions, even in gray areas, I believe. So in NBFCs, where trust and field level judgment matter so much, this kind of alignment is gold. That is what I feel. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Shikarma.
I'd love you to share an experience, like an example of something you've come across, also, Prakash, because I'm sure that'll be a great scoop for us to learn from. What if there is, without taking name of any company, obviously, you can share a quick example with us. What is the shift that you have seen? With more sense of purpose coming in, how has the employee behavior or the ethical decision making happened? Is there a situation or a case you can share?
Um, Nothing as specific, but as I mentioned earlier, one is see now, okay, I may not quote any of the NBFCs, but suppose if I know I'm serving a low poverty customers, okay.
Okay.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
being an employee of that organizations where even personally came up from a low poverty, when when I'm dealing with such customers, automatically we also feel saying that I am also come from a low poverty people. Okay, let me deal the customers with more empathy. Okay,
Mm.
provide them whatever support they need. So when that purpose comes into mind, automatically they
Mm.
will become ethical. Okay, so they, I
Mm.
mean, they will not feel that let us do some do wrong with the customer or with the organization.
I hear you. So interesting. So if there is a connect with the people you're serving, there is immediate empathy, and that
Correct.
brings integrity and more
Yeah.
value and ethics into play with respect to human behavior and employees at work. That's a good perspective,
Exactly. Yeah.
and I do see how all of it is getting aligned. When we talk about purpose, really translates into well-being for me. It translates into more value-driven culture for me. It translates into learning opportunities for me. So far, these are the insights that are getting rolled into the perspective of what does it mean to have this purpose-driven paycheck,
Correct, correct.
really.
So the one
It's
one more question
yes.
I think audience has raised. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Neha Jaganani. I mean, she's asking,
Sure.
how do you address situations where the company's purpose and personal values are not aligned?
Hmm. Hmm. Good question. Would you like to take that?
Um, See, of course, see, when we see the company's purpose and personal values are not aligned, one is, of course, through our regular training, or when we, as a leaders, maybe as a function
Hmm.
leaders or the top management, whenever they meet the employees in the field, or whenever they're having a town hall meetings, one is they should reiterate what is the company's mission, purpose, and they should be able to give live examples. Okay, maybe in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
experience, in my experience, if I say maybe way forward, I'll be able to put up in the further discussion. See, I mean, we when we discuss with the customer, one of the customer informed saying that when we started this school, we had only 10 kids, we had only two classrooms. After we
Hmm.
financed that school, I mean, that school strength increased to 200. Okay. So this is one example. When the top management, when they meet with the employees, when they quote this repeatedly in all their meetings, the employees
Mm-hmm.
will try to understand. So
Yeah.
maybe we should be able to give such situations, examples where the employees can understand.
Got it. Got it. That's a good insight. What I wanted to ask was going to Danish, possibly. Danish, if you can throw some light on this. How do we really strike that balance? Because while we are saying meaning is important, we know that paycheck cannot be done away with. It's still a reality for us, right? How do you strike that balance and provide a more purpose-driven environment, ensuring employees feel both valued and fulfilled? Over to you, Danish.
So actually, that's a very important question. And the bigger question is why do we see both purpose and paycheck in competition? It's not an
Mhm.
either or situation. It's more of an and
Correct.
situation. We need to,
Right.
kind of make it work. So at ACG, you know, we recognize that no matter how inspiring the mission is, people, deserve fair uh, compensation.
Mm-hmm.
Your sense of purpose can't compensate for iniquity, and nor should
Correct.
it be used as a reason to be underpaid. So what we try to do is to, approach this on two levels. First, of course, we look at the compensation structures. We ensure they are robust. We ensure they are market aligned, equitable. Uh, from time to time, we also review these pay practices. We ensure that there is internal parity, and we link our R&R to both outcomes as well as the process, that is your value-driven behaviors, etc. So essentially, what we want to do is we not just want to reward people for what they achieve, but also how they achieve it, whether it's through collaboration, through caring, or through innovation. Second thing that I would like to highlight here is that we want to foster a culture where purpose is not a substitute for pay, but it's more like a multiplier of engagement and fulfillment. So, whether it's in leadership development or inclusion initiatives, we create these platforms where people see the connection between their work and the broader impact. And then at a global level, they will see whether the impact that is made on health, sustainability, and on the community. So, in many ways, what I'm trying to say is we try to strive for ikigai. It's this
Ah,
Japanese concept where we have this intersection of, what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you're paid for. And if, there's an significant overlap between the four, you
yeah,
your work is no longer a job. It's like a calling.
correct.
And the paycheck that you get then feels fair and more fulfilling part of that journey. So
True.
ideally, the balance that we are looking for, that your question is about honoring both your needs, right?
Correct.
Recognizing that people want to be paid fairly, and also at the
Correct.
same time, they want to ensure that their work contributes to something bigger. And
Yes.
when we get both of these right, that's where we get, rewarded with loyalty and discretionary effort that essentially is what you're looking for.
Absolutely. I think this is the pain point for a lot of organizations. No, today, Danish, people worry that
Absolutely.
employees aren't loyal anymore and they don't feel the need to be loyal. Most importantly, we are not able to strike that balance, that fine balance between creating a engaged culture and a thriving culture. Like I pointed out, the statistics are quite startling. There is a gap. People aren't feeling that fulfilled, and they are not feeling that they are thriving, because there are some gaps somewhere for sure. Um, I came across this very interesting share from a CEO of a company called Loop, which is possibly into the space of AI-driven some data analytics, who and they are supporting employee health checks apparently. So he happened to mention that just because an employer did an employee check, there is an employee who got detected with the first level of cancer at a very very early stage and got the entire treatment and whatever cure possible, and didn't have to go to that point where he had to shell off lakhs and maybe crores of money, or become that dependent on the family where his life is threatened by a fourth level cancer detection. Just because the employer was mindful, was being authentic in their efforts to create more meaningful interventions, they meant what they did for the employees. It wasn't just a value EVP check on their checklist. uh, this employee's it wasn't just his life being saved. It was a big impact that the company created, right? With the use of technology. I felt that was very close to what we are talking about today. That authenticity is what is very, very important over any artifice. If we're just doing a sham, we're just doing it for the heck of it, people are very quick at discerning it today, and it does breed a lot of cynicism eventually. So it's important that we are truthful and authentic in making these efforts of being more purpose driven. But having said that, there are challenges on the ground. We know that it's not that easy. And that brings me to Gauri, really. I'd like you to throw some light on how we can, cope with these challenges, and how do we integrate this into the value proposition scheme of things and make it more exciting and opportunity for others. Over to you, Gauri.
Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of challenges, and I would say the starting point is mindset, because we have still not reached there where purpose becomes the primary thing, because organizations exist to make money, and there is nothing wrong, because things would work out only if there are profits to support, right? But the challenges first I would count, one is they are intangible in terms of the results. So you can't actually measure an impact of most of these things that we are talking about purpose. Like we discussed that somebody is supporting the underprivileged community through money and they growing, but can we really have a metrics to measure this? So that is one of the challenge, but we can have small KRAs defined there in order to solve that problem. Then there is conflict with traditional pay structures. So what we have been designing for so long does not have an element of this particular thing, so incentivizing this becomes difficult. And where does it come from? It comes from senior management. Does your board have a guideline to the CEO and your senior management, that do they have that in their KRA? Then only this will happen. And that's why I was citing in the earlier we were talking about what it is actually, that even compliances are playing a role. So even if you think about compliances to a certain extent, you would be able to bring these elements in your day-to-day life. Then there is risk of subjectivity and bias. How do you actually evaluate it? How do you work across the globe? If it is a multicultural organization, how do you define that? So it can be done. There are ways, just like we define value, we define purpose, and we align. Another thing that I have seen many times is not everybody is looking at it. I think Kevin mentioned it, that we are generalizing it. Not everybody is looking for purpose. Many people are just that this is one part of their life. They come to work, they work, and they go home. They don't want to enter into anything else. So that is also one of the challenges. But there is always something that at a individual level also we have a purpose at individual level also. If we can talk to them and we can align that, that can also be solved. So ultimately, I think it's about any other change that we have brought in, be it diversity, be it changes pertaining to how workplaces have been performing, whether it is work from home thing. Anywhere we looked at change, we started from top. So maybe if we start defining the KRAs at top, things will start percolating down very quickly. And I have also seen that ERGs do some very good work around this area, because they mobilize people, they spread awareness. Many times we are not communicating well also. So communication also would be another thing. So if I have to highlight just three, it would be leadership, it would be communication, would be measuring it with whatever ways it is possible. It's not possible 100%, but let's start somewhere.
Ah, right. Interesting. I like the fact that you've also summed it up for us. We must look at the entire spectrum to really get it right, and that's what is very, very important. Out of all the points that you've highlighted, what really struck me was the point on communication. I think while we're trying to make the organization work and lubricate the entire machinery in a different manner, to throttle and move leaps and bounds ahead in the future, because that's the pace we are ought to take now, with AI, automation, technology, really disrupting the way forward for us. It's important that things are aligned at the top. We have the right leadership, and we support the whole system and mechanism with the right and timely communication. You did point out something, another thing which is very crucial, which is risk and compliance is getting impacted, right? And that brings me to Prakash, if that's okay, we'd like to take your thoughts on that. Can a purpose-driven culture really reduce these risks, such as fraud and attrition, or any compliance failures, really? Can you throw some light on your experience around that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Shikha Verma. And I have seen it in action.
Call me Shikha. Shikha Verma sounding too formal.
Oh,
It's okay.
okay. Yeah. So,
Go ahead.
in the NBFCs, especially those working micro lending or like ours, employees are often on the front lines. They'll be handling cash, doing field verification, managing customer expectations. So it is easy for a pressure or opportunity to lead someone down the wrong path. Okay. So, but when your team truly believes in the larger purpose, like enabling a child's education or supporting a small business, they think twice before cutting the corners. I remember a case where one of our field staff flagged a potential fraud. Okay, not because it was part of a checklist, but because he felt it was wrong to let someone misuse a loan meant for a small business or a school. Okay, so that kind of ethical instinct does not come from fear, it comes from the belief in the organization mission. Okay, so even attrition drops when people feel they're part of something meaningful. They stay not just for incentives, but because they feel proud of the impact they are creating. And when people are emotionally invested, okay, they are more careful with the compliance too. Okay, not because the policy says so, but because they don't want to let the organization down. So, in short, when purpose enters the culture, risk quietly starts walking out of the door. Okay. Thank you. Over to you.
I love that. Risk walks out of the door when there are emotional investments and
Exactly. Yeah.
more meaning seen at the workplace. Uh,
Correct.
I'm just wondering, there are times when we see that people have very different expectations also, because there's a huge difference in the generations that we're dealing with at a workplace. Uh, as per your experience, and that question I'll take with Dr. Kavindra, if you can throw some light, what are you observing different expectations regarding purpose, meaning across these different generations today? And how are you adapting your strategies to cater to these varying needs of these groups?
Yeah, thank you, Shika. It is a wonderful question, and it in times today. But I'll stick to my point, which I said earlier. It is not about different generations. It's all about the different group of people,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
across geographies. This requirement is different because we are operating out of India, Southeast Asia, and Middle East. So, in every geography, the requirement and the expectations are entirely different. The purpose, yes, it is important, while money or the paycheck is still the sole motivator as of now. Or I should say that majority of the things are being motivated by the paycheck. But how we have to balance it out, because for the every group of individuals, the expectations are different. Right. Some people look at their definition, what their expectations are more towards the work-life balance. Some people expect their to excel in their own fields. Some people expect to go for the social cause and all. So the way we have looked at is we have looked at a four-pronged strategy. One is the compensation part where we look for, like Danish and everyone also said, that pay parity, internal as well as external pay parity, we have to look at to be competitive in the market, while realizing that money is a big motivator. The second aspect is that what's in it for me, everyone certainly looks at. So the second aspect is we have looked at the incentivization program linked to the organizational purpose. That has really helped us in retaining the talent as well as developing it across. Against, just to quote, against the industry average of 18% of attrition, we are still in single digit across geographies, not only in India, but across geographies. So that is the second part. The third part is we have looked at that how people and how we are relating to their individual needs. Uh, Even before COVID, we were having that work-life balance, the flexi time attendance policy, and work from home, which we are continuing till now. And we have built up an environment of ownership and accountability rather than clogging the work hours within the organization. So that is something which has helped us in driving people towards the loyalty and sense of belongingness. In the recent survey, since we are a project-based organization, as of now, we do not have a live project where the tendency is pretty high for people to leave. So when we have done a pulse survey, so people have said that, yeah, culture, your environment, and freedom. Apart from this, what we have done is we have given the individuals an opportunity within the organization that what if they have certain area of specialization or where they want to excel, they can come up to us. They can come up to the management that this is the project what I want to do within the organization, and if the project sounds great or it has some value, they are allowed to uh, take up that particular project, and the company invests in that. So that allows them to work on their own area of work or area of interest. Similarly, we have allowed people where if someone is interested in a social cause, where we support, like some of our people in Singapore, they support uh, some social institutions which are into education. So we, across the geographies, we collect the reference materials, the books and all. We transport it to Singapore where they can distribute. Like apart from the other group activities where we manage schools, the ITIs and all, that is all together different. But this is an individual initiative which is being supported by the organization. So what we have looked at is that how we can create what's in it for me for each of the, I'll not say generational, but each of the groups within the organization. So I'll say that we have created a multi-group EVP, which is there that everything is there under one roof for everyone within the organization, and they
So
can
it's like a
pursue.
buffet. You've
Yeah,
actually
it's
made
like,
the buffet for them to choose from.
yeah. So you can pick and choose what you want to do. If you want to excel in your technical areas, uh,
Okay.
we will nominate you for the higher studies. We send people even to Harvard for
Mm-hmm.
their general management or higher studies as well. We have a tie-up with SPJAN for their continued growth in academics. So those
So
are the kind of
learning, Kavi, you're also saying repeatedly, I think learning also acts as that stickiness, it provides that meaning to our employees. And it can be a good bridge when we're talking retention, we're talking talent attraction. Investing in your employees makes great sense. And you mentioned this four-pronged approach, thank you for sharing that very important aspect.
just to add one more thing. While
Sure.
people are looking for what's in it for me, the organizations are also looking for what's in it for me. So it is not open for all. It is
Yeah.
basically the people who have high on performance, high pots. So it is
Yeah.
basically not everyone will be achieving that or will be getting that, but yes, it is both. It is two-way. Uh,
Don't we do that in the house also? With children, we constantly make that kind of a differentiator. He is getting good marks, he'll get more spiffs. You're not getting good marks, you're not getting these perks. So you have to work harder, you have to be more disciplined, you have to follow certain rules, you have to earn that reward for yourself, right? That's a constant differentiator we try to create even at the home front. And I pretty much resonate with the fact that it's important to create like a buffet of offerings for your people and let them pick and choose what works best for them, provided we have the culture in place. The compensation will continue to be important for us. It's very important. I do see some of the questions also in the chat, and I want to quickly check if we can take one of these. Gauri, if you'd like to answer, what can HR do to help employees at all levels find their why without overstepping boundaries? Let's take
Yeah,
a few seconds.
yes. So it has a personal connect also, like I cited. Somebody helped me understand my purpose as well. HR can do if HR is regularly connecting with people. If HR knows the pulse, they
Right.
know who the employee is, what they actually do. So if you can start with asking them, what do you do
Mm.
in your weekend, and you will get to know that where are they connected. Then you can figure out what programs you have to offer it to them. Even if the programs are not their third step, you can sponsor them for supporting the external world outside, right? So understanding it, creating something for them, and if it is not there, then helping them go outside and fulfill that would be my suggestion.
Superb, superb. So all three aspects are well covered there. I also see one more question. How do you deal with leaders who only recognize performance in terms of numbers and not contribution or purpose? Thank you, Gauri, for sharing your insight on the why. I'd like to take this question to Dr. Kavindra. How do you deal with leaders who only recognize performance in team in terms of numbers and not contribution?
So
I'm sure
if you
there's
talk
a employee.
if you
That's
talk
an
about
employee's pain talking to us.
if you talk about business leaders, certainly business leaders or the CEO or the CEO, their role is to drive the business. So they are purely number driven. That's where the role of HR comes into play, where the
Correct.
purpose and the efforts are being recognized, right?
Right.
So we have to create a framework, and
Yeah.
it's not only one of the schemes which you have to float. You have to float multiple schemes where each one where you can, the purpose of a reward scheme is to reward employees, not to keep them away. So that is
Yeah.
something which most of the HR professionals fail to understand,
Hmm.
right?
Because you
So
you also mentioned, it's not just the what, but also the how and the why that matters. I think Danish pointed that out.
yeah,
That today is the time where you can't just reward people for their numbers anymore. So that shift
yeah.
is important. Some people are still stuck in the old pattern, the old mindset really. But we can only create more systems and processes where the leaders start to align and follow the system. Eventually, because they can't fall out of that. So what's important is to create bigger frameworks, like you rightly pointed out, and these things can eventually follow through. So it's not going to happen overnight, Avinash. I hope you got an answer to your question.
So
We
it
have
is
a
two
quick
way.
advice.
Shikha, it is
I'm
two
going to
ways.
yes, please.
Yeah, it is not only a bigger framework; it is multiple frameworks where the numbers are being rewarded during the annual performance management or the incentive schemes, whereas
Mm-hmm.
the other frameworks or the other processes will reward the best process implementation or the best initiative and the other awards and recognitions which can be, because though money is a big motivator, but recognition works better in public if it
Best.
is
Yeah.
done publicly. So that
Yeah.
motivates people, and that motivates even others as well. That yes, I should also follow the league and get into this for achieving the award next time.
Yeah. Thank you for highlighting the importance of reward and recognition, that too publicly, not in private, because that's another area where we tend to go wrong sometimes. That brings me to the
I
last, question of actually an advice that all of you can share with our fellow HR leaders out here who'd like to build a truly purpose-driven organization and move ahead and prepare themselves for future in light of the advancements of AI, automation, and changing world. So I quickly take a round robin with all of you, starting with Danish. What is that one piece of quick advice that you can share with all our viewers today?
If I had to, uh, advise someone, it's that, in this age of technology, in this age of AI, in this age of automation, it's important that we do what AI doesn't do, which is staying deeply human while
Yeah.
embracing this technology. So, AI will drive us, and it's always tempting, right? Because AI helps us with efficiency, it helps us with data, it helps us with speed, but
Hmm.
purpose doesn't come from technology. It
Yeah.
comes from how we use this technology to free people to do meaningful work, to build connections, to solve human problems. So,
Super.
as HR leaders, if we ensure that we adapt and adopt AI and automation, we also create that space for empathy, inclusion, and growth. So,
Super.
if our
So
systems evolve, so must our commitment to listening to people. So that's the advice that I would
thank you. Thank you. I love staying human as one of the top tips for us to
have.
take this forward. Moving on to Prakash, if you can share your quick advice with all our HR leaders who are aspiring to build purpose-driven organizations.
So, if I have to give just one piece of advice, especially to fellow HR and people leaders in banking or NDFCs, it would be like this. Okay. So, don't just talk about purpose in boardrooms. Okay. Bring it to
Uh,
the field. I have
thank
seen
you.
that. I have seen that purpose clicks only when the last mile employee, okay, say our loan officer visiting remote villages or our audit staff reviewing small business loans, feels it, okay, not just hears it. So my advice is connect pay with the purpose, not just through policies, but through real stories. Okay. So let your people see the why behind their work, and trust me, the how and what will take care of itself. Okay. Thank you. And what you?
Awesome. Awesome. Love that. Let them see the why and not just talk about the why. Moving on to you, Dr. Kavindra. What is
So
your quick advice?
I'll give you three advices, or rather three advices to the audience. One is lead by example. Don't just, it should not be just the words on the wall. Because I
Yeah.
did a quick exercise with one of the organization where in the boardroom, the top management was sitting. I asked them to write down the mission and the vision and the mission of the organization. Most of them could not do that.
Ah,
So if the leadership does not know the purpose, they'll not be able to live by that.
the
The
one is
second is,
lead by example. Yeah.
yeah. The second is you should be open and transparent in your dealings. Nothing under the
Mhm.
table. Whatever you do it over the table. That is something what I have been practicing, and I have been successful in doing that. So
Hmm.
equitable behavior, if you are saying that this is the policy guidelines, it should be open and common for all. The third and last thing from my side is constantly communicate so that people remember it and people start living by it. Otherwise, it will just be a poster on the wall and nobody uh, remembers it and uses it. That's
Super.
my key mantra for success.
Super. Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful insight. Last but not the least, Gauri, your quick advice for our HR
Yeah,
leader.
so I will quickly mention this and leave. I would say that first find your purpose because many of us don't know about our own purposes in HR, and then we talk
Ah,
about purpose of the organization and others. So go within, find your purpose. Once you do that, you would
yeah.
know how to do it for others. Thank you so much.
Super.
Bye.
Super, Gauri. Thank you so much. And that brings me to a wonderful anecdote or a quick example that I'd like to share before I close. There's a photographer, Xavier Breyer, who did this wonderful experiment in the forest. He placed a huge mirror, okay, and all animals, all types of animals came in front of it and tried to look at it and were reacting very differently. Some tried to fight with what they saw. In the mirror, some flirted with it, and some just didn't recognize what was happening and were totally confused or stunned. Now, this is pretty much what happens to us when a huge transformation or a big change or a leap needs to be taken. What's happening in front of us is pretty much what you and I would have had as our deep desire, when we started our careers. This is a reflection and nothing more. What you see today is what we've dreamt of. So it's time not to be confused, not to be, chasing success anymore, not competing anymore, but playing by unique potential of each individual and fostering passion and purpose day in and day out. When we live it, we get it right. Thank you so much, and over to you, Faisal.
Thank you, Shika. A heartfelt thank you for skillfully moderating this session. We also extend our sincere gratitude to Prakash, Gauri, Dr. Kavindra, and Danish for sharing their valuable insights and perspectives on how purpose and meaning can shape more fulfilling work life. Your thoughtful contributions sparked meaningful reflection and enriched the discussion for everyone who are attending. Thank you for making this session impactful and inspiring. For those eager to visit today's insights, the session recording is available on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. A special thanks to our event partners Geisha, NASCOM COE, Talgro, TLE, WICCI, LinkedIn Local Ahmedabad and India for their invaluable support in making this event a success. To learn more about these associations, please refer to the links provided in the chats. We look forward to welcoming you in our next session on the topic The Education Work Disconnect Rethinking Campus to Corporate Readiness on July 10th, 2025. With that, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you for being part of this journey. Wishing you good health, positivity, and success until we meet again. Take care and farewell for now. Thank you, Shika. Thank you,
Thank
Prakash.
you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you
Naveen.
all.
Thank
Thank you all.
you,
Thank
Bye.
you
Thank you. Have a
all.
good day. Bye.
Bye.